and gentlemen, Gungans and Droids, Kiarimudi Conans and Homicidal Droids. In today's video of Auto Hellnet News, the only news you'll ever need because you have no other choice. Where today, oh man, we called it. It looks like we have the next requirements for Dr. Aphra coming to Galaxy Heroes. We got BT as well as 000 new droid editions, and unfortunately, no Imperial tag on them, but they will be droid and scoundrel as well, despite being a part of the Tarkin initiative. But let's not get too bogged down into the details. 2K reveals for one. It's going to be kind of an interesting marquee event, as they're saying in this post here. The marquees, it's going to be kind of like a 2-for-1 marquee, but I suspect the characters are going to be sold individually still because they're two separate characters here. And I'm making an assumption that these are a part of the Dr. Aphra requirements. However, they don't seem to make any note of that being the case. So when I'm saying they're Dr. Aphra requirements, I'm speculating because these guys are a part of Dr. Aphra's actual story. So if they are indeed part of the requirements, kind of like what we were predicting, it looks like the Dr. Aphra requirements are going to be a bit different than Starkiller, where Starkiller had requirements that boosted a variety of factions. Seems like it's building up to a scoundrel team, and most likely Hondo as well will be a part of the equation here. And interesting, they put a dark side tag on him, so I wonder if Dr. Aphra might be labeled as dark side. Anyways, let's get on into this. I love this, these little descriptions. Entirely homicidal. Although we don't have Dr. Aphra right now, I definitely think Shorty's gonna get a lot of love and attention for these droids. In the meantime, first, I'm not getting Dr. Aphra anytime soon. Really love the I'm always a big fan of the person who does these 2D RNS. It's always, I wish it looked as good as they do in game. Nonetheless, let's go take a look at the kit reveal. We're gonna start off with unit name BT-1, then we're gonna do 000 afterwards, or short for trip, I suppose. And they do note here, a prescribed leader is needed to fulfill their full potential, but you'll sort it out. So I'm not sure if the sort it is supposed to be a joke for shorty. That's the name of the droid, or I'd be actually very surprised if this has no connection to Dr. Aphra whatsoever. But in the meantime, I'm fairly certain we're gonna have Shorty as the temporary leader. But anyways, let's get into the kit reveal. BT-1, starting off with them. Overcharge the laser. Deal physical damage to target enemy 3 times and inflict a stack of damage over time for 2 turns. So firstly, makes me sad just a little bit. You know, fine, I kind of get maybe why there's no Empire tag, but man, having 3 damage over times on a basic, that sounds like, I mean, it still could be a lot of fun of Darth Vader. They don't need the specific to have Empire synergy through tags, but nonetheless, that's kind of nice. Get an extra additional stack of over damage over time when you're targeting them 3 times. So anyways, moving on, Agent of Destruction. I love these things. I mean, if you haven't read the comics or don't know anything, just imagine Chopper, but they went like a couple more steps to the left and just turned into an absolute maniac. Agent of Destruction, cooldown of 3. Deal physical damage to all enemies and inflict expose for 1 turn. And yet again, another stack of damage over time for 2 turns. And if the target enemy is inflicted with target lock, inflict burning and another stack of damage over time for 2 turns. So in a droid-based team, you're going to see a lot of target lock, and I'm sure we're going to see more of that throughout these guys' kits here. And really, the way they're designed, you're kind of going to use both of them together. You're not really going to be separating them, as they kind of said in their little dev Q&A thing. You love the unique ability. Very short, simple kits here. Homicidal counterpart, Zeta and then Omicron. And it's a 3v3 Grand Arena Omicron, which, I mean, 3v3 Grand Arenas every other month, but not as nice as a 5v5. It's a normal Grand Arena Omicron, because normal Grand Arena Omicrons you can use 5v5 and 3v3. Now I digress. At the start of the battle, BT-1 gains 10% critical damage for each droid ally. So, and you're in a shorty team, that's a lot of droids. 10% potency for each dark side ally. And this is the good part, 5 additional speed for each scoundrel ally, including themselves. So that's 25 speed right there. If 000 is an active ally, gain the granted ability, kill them all. I love these. I'm excited for these. I always love droids. They're always a lot of fun. Whenever 000 uses a special ability, BT-1 assists, dealing 40% less damage. It's basically like a homicidal version of C-3PO and R2-D2. I think that's the best way of putting it. Kill them all. Deal physical damage to all enemies. And call Trip to assist. And the Omicron, while in Grand Arenas, whenever BT or Trip defeat an enemy, their cooldowns are refreshed. And they gain 30% turn meter. kind of interesting. It's one of those things we have to wait and see. In 3v3, I need to see how much damage these guys are putting out, because otherwise this doesn't really appeal to me. But we gotta wait and see what it actually looks like in application. Not one of those Omicrons that's like jumping out at me like I really want it. If it was 5v5 as well, I'd probably consider it. And we have a unique ability, Blastomek Prototype. BT-1 gains 100% offense. Gosh dang, look at this guy. Oh man, whenever BT-1 defeats an enemy, he gains the granted ability Haywire and takes a bonus turn. This, you know, we just did the Ben Solo initial gameplay review, and one of my mild criticisms of Ben is that he looked really boring. His polygons are pretty bad. His model is bad. His animation is bad. This is like completely, they literally just threw everything in the kitchen sink for this guy here. Anyways, whenever BT defeats an enemy, he gains the granted ability Haywire and then takes a bonus turn. During this bonus turn, BT removes ability block from himself and can only use the granted ability Haywire. So this is interesting. This, let me just read it. Deal physical damage to all other characters. All of the characters, even your own side. This guy doesn't care. He's just letting it loose. Of course, the damage is reduced a little bit for your allies. 75% less damage for your allies, which can't be evaded. This damage can't defeat allies or enemies. So it's definitely a little out there. That's for sure. So very cute little droid. I am very biased towards these type of things. I love these animations. Look a lot more interesting than Ben Solo for sure. So all right, man, I can't get over it. Oh, it's funny. Anyways, moving on, we got Trip, the C-3PO dark side droid, basically. Fatal Shock, basic ability. Deals special damage to target enemy and inflicts shock for one turn. Interesting, you know, C-3PO can't do much. At least this droid's a little bit more useful. If the target enemy is non-droid and is already inflicted with shock, stun them for one turn instead. If this ability defeats an enemy, gain a stack of translation for 3 turns. Man, can you see why I'm a little salty? Imagine if you could use these guys of Emperor Palpatine and they're riding on the Palpatine train, and while they're shock on enemy because of Mara Jade and Palpatine, you got this guy going ahead, locking a stun on the characters that already had shock on them. Man, I'm a little salty. Maybe you guys in the comments can cool me down and be like, oh, I don't, you know, they're not really Imperial droids. And I'm hoping you guys can convince me otherwise, because I'm a bit sad that they're not going to have Empire synergy, because I can already imagine like Palpatine, Mara Jade, these droids. But I suspect they're trying to make sure you don't get incentivized to do that, and you keep them with Shorty and soon to be Dr. Aphra. Special 1, specialized in torture, cooldown of 5 with an Omicron. Deals special damage and inflict torture on target enemy for one turn. We already have a torture. It's already on Grand Inquisitor's kit. That's the first time we saw it. It's kind of like a mini death mark, sort of. That's the best way of kind of putting it, which can't be copied, dispelled, evaded, or resisted if the target enemy already had torture. Deals special damage to all the enemies, and then grant all dark side allies a stack of translation, maximum of 3 for 3 turns. Translation, you know, it's one of those, I feel like it's an underappreciated buff. The whole point of translation is you get a variety of additional benefits. We see that be very helpful with the Bad Badge. Cooldown decrease potential. So translation for all dark side allies, I wouldn't sleep on that. I think that's going to play a bigger role down the road. And we have 3v3 Grandarin Omicrons as well. Torture inflict from the ability lasts for 2 turns. One of my complaints of Grand Inquisitor, torture just comes and goes, doesn't really sit there for too long. But if BT is also an active ally, BT and Trip recover 20% health protection, which is nice if this ability defeats an enemy. All dark side allies gain 10% offense, stacking for the rest of the encounter. Doubled for dark side droids. I'm sure this could be a lot of fun for like maybe IG-88 potential as well, the Shorty lineup. Torture, we already kind of know what it is. Receive bonus damage equal to 10% of this character's max health when damaged by the attack. You reduce the defense by 10%. So again, it's kind of like a death mark, sort of, with a little bit of a baked-in daze mechanic with the anti-turn meter. And then we have a couple unique abilities here. Interrogation Protocol. Dark side allies gain 20% critical damage. Again, I don't know about you. That sounds like it could have been nice for Darth Vader, but who am I to know? Again, at least, you know, it's dark side. You can still use it with Darth Vader. It just makes me a little bitter. And let's keep moving. Whenever a dark side ally uses an ability on an enemy of torture, granted ally 1 stack of translation on them, which stacks them to a maximum of 3 for 3 turns. Dark side allies gain 5% potency for each stack of translation on them, doubled for the droids. And just in case you need a reminder, it's always been the same ever since we had C-3PO back in the day. He was the first one to introduce translation. You have 1 stack 30% max health. Kind of nice. 2 stacks, 15% critical chance. And this is the kind of the big one. 3 stacks. If only one ally who grants translation is present, decrease this character's cooldowns by 1 when that ally uses their basic ability. So, you know, we gotta wait and see what the Alto team's gonna look like, but I can kind of imagine a lot of cooldown reduction possibilities with these dark side teams out there. So it's kind of almost the C3PO for the dark side. And then unique 2, Drain Organics with the Zeta. Whenever Trip or BT gain a stack of translation, they grant a stack of translation to the other, limited once per turn. So they're going to get 3 stacks pretty quickly. At the start of Trip's turn, inflict target lock. Wow, target lock. Didn't we say we're going to see more of that a moment ago? Inflict target lock for 1 turn on a random non-droid enemy that doesn't already have it. And whenever a non-droid enemy is defeated, the attacking ally recovers 30% health, protection, and if the attacking ally is a dark side droid, they also gain offense up for 2 turns and 15% turn meter. If the attacking ally is BT, he gains offense up for 2 turns and 30% turn meter. So, needless to say, I don't know if we're going to see the full picture, but there's a few key deductions that I'm coming with. Obviously, you're going to need to have both of them together. Obviously, Shorty's going to be part of the equation. What the thing that's been gnawing at my mind this whole time is Hondo going to be a part of this Dr. Aphra team? Because we thought, all right, maybe they're going to release like neutral scoundrels. Well, apparently they're not neutral anymore. They're dark side scoundrels now. So I wonder if maybe Hondo is just to say, hey, shut up, guys. Here's your Hondo. But maybe he won't have any team, which I'd be kind of sad. So I'm hoping Hondo will be a part of a really solid team, that being most likely Dr. Aphra. But otherwise, dark side droids, I'm nicking them because they don't have the Empire tag on them. I think these guys look like a lot of fun to use. But hey, I guess we're going to wait and see. I'm suspecting they're going to be released this Thursday. So if you guys want, I heard there's quite a big and deadly Star Destroyer. I guess there's this direct to the video gaming division that leads the charge there as well, that tests out triple B characters. My gosh. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you for stopping by. Let me know your thoughts down below. Leave your like, comment, of course, subscribe so you're not missing a thing. I'm actually kind of excited for these guys. They're looking like a lot of fun, but I guess time will tell. Thank you for stopping by, and always remember, whew, it's great to be in the Empire today.